Well, after a fun, unique end to the first half of the season in Hungary, the RPL F1 drivers will be kicking off the start of the second half of the season. And what a track we'll be kicking it off at. This is RPL F1 Season 9. We kick it off with round 12. We are at the famous track itself, Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Per the usual, Titan Ironwolf on deck for the commentary for today, and I'm not alone. Once again, joining me is RPL F2 and Tier 2 commentator, Ryan Ocon. Good to see you again, buddy.
Hey, it's good to have you alongside once again, and good to have you commentating. I'm glad to be back as well. I'm glad we're at the halfway point as well. We're past halfway point now, actually. This should be an interesting way that things unfold. Scyther, for the first time in, 3-4 weeks, is finally back. And so we can get things rolling as we've just readied up. Let's go over the championship. Reese ahead of the Chiller by 56 points. Scyther 59 points behind. The interesting thing you mentioned last time out in Hungary was the fact that Scyther missed almost half a season, if not half of a season, and still came back to win a championship before. So he's missed, 4 or 5 races already? So it is definitely not out of the question. And as we get to the past halfway point of the season, now I keep wanting to say halfway point because it really is the start of the second half. I now question, how does this second half look? The last 2 races have a lot of momentum when it comes to driving standards being a little bit better, the DNF rate being a little bit better, a total of nearly 3 cars deep per race DNFing, a total of 8 DNFs in the last 3 races. So things are looking like it's going the right direction. We just need the second half to keep things going. And not only that, but we have a lot of new things as well. Obviously, the last couple of weeks we've mentioned this time and time again. The McLaren car upgrade, it's going to come into effect at a track like this. Not only the McLaren car upgrade, but transfer windows in RPL now. That's a big thing we'll get to mention at some point during this qualifying session. And yeah, no, I'm glad to be alongside you. I know I went on a big ramble about it, but it is good to be back for the second half of the season. Let's do this.
Love the enthusiasm. Love it, love it, love it. So here we go. So as mentioned, Ryan Ocon mentioned the driver standings, with Reese still continuing that lead. From Hungary last week, race results it was a Red Bull 1-2 with Josh picking up the win, Reese finishing in second, and the Chiller wound up finishing in third. As you mentioned, a lot of driver transfer windows happened. I mean, we've had drivers being switched around, going into different teams, different academies. So much to digest in regards to that section itself. In the constructors, Red Bull continues their lead over Ferrari with 359 points, and Ferrari 93 points behind with 266. But they have a nice, comfortable gap, 105 points over Mercedes, that's in third, with 161. But one little battle in the constructors that's going to be quite interesting is McLaren overtaking Aston Martin. And the separation's not that far, 91-87, and that's for fourth in the constructors standings right now. So currently right now we have 19 drivers here. We will have a 20th, the 20th driver, which is Blue Gagi. He will be showing up during the Q1 session, maybe a little later, but we'll get to that part later on. So let's take a look at our drivers taking part, and like I said, we have a lot of changes here. So Luke, formerly the team principal of Red Bull, he is now in Mercedes. Cryptic moved from team principal of Mercedes and driver Mercedes to driving in Red Bull. Let's see. Bourbon switched from AlphaTauri to Mercedes. Zakaria still in Aston Martin. Minions was initially planned to be in Ferrari Tier 2. He is now in Alpine Tier 1. Gerard, by the way, grandpa, by the way, in the Alfa Romeo on loan for reserve. He is here, and we're going to be on board for his lap as he's the benchmark for Q1 group. Next up, Boss Cookie. Hung out in Aston Martin, occasionally reserved in Mercedes. He is now in Alpha Tauri. De Chiller staying where he is in Ferrari for the time being, but if he winds up getting a bad finish, he may be losing that Ferrari drive as part of his new stipulation in his contract. Beatnik, now the team principal of Mercedes. He's in Williams. Born in Shanghai in Williams. Good to see him back. I think it's been quite a while since we last saw him in Tier 1. Oh, Gerard goes for a slide out of no name.
Don't get beached.
Yeah, he just lost it right there, but he's going, he's good, and continuing on. But that lap, I mean, he's got flat tires, that's for sure. Moving on, so we got Wiseau in the Alpha Tauri, Ads in Aston Martin, Owen filling in the Haas, Reese sticking around in Red Bull, Redfire Tiger in McLaren. Now, Scyther, he's Ferrari, but the interesting thing was that it was a little bit screwy in regards to how things worked. Initially, because of the races that he missed, he was actually terminated from Ferrari, went to reserve. Then he wanted out of reserve, but then everything got pretty much redacted, and Scyther is now back in Ferrari, but on the conditions is that when he misses races, he has to give his team principals better notification.
Right.
Next up, T.S. Korsman. You're going to be thinking, who the heck is this guy? Well, you may know him under his old name, FRT Flaw. So it's good to see him back in it, as he set the fastest benchmark with a 42.09. Only for Scyther to smack it away with a 42.057. And last but not least, Tadpole, the co-team principal of Alpine. He is on deck in the Haas, and TB in the Alpine. He's the first retired from Q1. Why are people thinking that? It is because he has a qualifying ban after an incident that he was involved in Hungary.
Ooh.
And if you are in the RPL Discord, you will easily get to see the the hefty, strong argument that was happening in the appeal channel when TB got penalized.
As much as sometimes he can be very fiery, and maybe sometimes I can't really say an opinion is incorrect, but I can definitely say that you'd wonder where some of the common sense is coming from in some of these incidents when he fights for it. I'll give him credit, though. He fights these incidents to at least get it reduced or removed. So fair play to TB when he fights these incidents to at least, I guess, get a less harsher penalty on these instances. But, you know, that's what is going to make this race interesting. The driver who is fourth in the championship right now, just behind Gether and DeChiller, trying to find a way past, or trying to find a way to either hold on for P4, find a way past. But what he's going to do during this whole race today, and we'll have, 3-4 eliminations, he's going to have to charge his way back to the field and start from the back of the grid. Maybe we could see an Alex Albon-like type of drive where Alex Albon started from P20, finished P5. Schumacher put in a really good drive here in his Mercedes days, came home in the points, and a really good point showing, actually. So it should be interesting to see what TB can do from the back of the grid today, as you see multiple drivers line up lap times and come across our timing board. The interesting thing that you mentioned there, TS Korsman, Scyther, I'm really interested to see how this actually goes, because I'm looking at this more so from a, esports point of view with the esports teams. PSR versus Shazoo. That should be very interesting if they come together on track today. Whether they come together or they come battle, it is PSR versus Shazoo. So that should be tons of fun. As you see, L74G and Wiseau both set times on the board. It shall be very, very interesting when it comes to our benchmark time and everything else with it. Scyther obviously not being here in a couple weeks kind of sets the benchmark at a different time. He's got the most poles of anybody this season. So as we come through to Q1 with some team changes, the one thing I was going to mention before you give your their clans, I see the chat says, with esports teams. The thing I was going to add on to about the transfer window, I got clarification from Luke, aka L74G. He had told me this transfer window is set up for the exact reason to not make people change teams a billion times a season. You saw Zakaria. Obviously, he went from, you know, the Mercedes Academy to Alpine Academy back to Mercedes Academy. And some other drivers you've named, Cryptic. You could say Luke. There's multiple names out there who have changed academies at least once this season. That is exactly why this transfer window is a thing, happening just a couple of times a season. That is the case of why Luke wanted this out. He clarified, less changes, more stability, and that is exactly what I like. We like to see where drivers line up at a single team. They stay on that team for at least most part of the season, and they do what they do. Speaking of what they do best, how about Scyther going to a 41.8 so far in our Q1 session?
So Scyther improves his time by 0.2 of a second. Currently on board with Cryptic as he's doing his time lap. Currently going through the Lescombe chicane. A few corners that are well noted that we could easily see some track limit warnings and penalties. Quite a few that we have to note. Arouge and Radion, that is definitely a section where you'll definitely see track limit warnings and penalties. I would not be surprised if we do have at least one crash in there. Lescombes right at the exit. There have been cars that have gone wide on the exit. I think that's an area that you could easily get some track limit warnings and penalties. Puhan, another section to watch out for. I don't think Campus is that way. Stavilo, if you take it a little wrong, Stavilo can be a bit of a pain in the neck if you're not careful. See what happened in Formula 3 last year when Zane Maloney went upside down from a crash in Stavilo. As Cryptic goes second fastest, about 800ths off of Scyther's time. Not bad for Cryptic's return to a Red Bull. I mean, literally, if you think about it, Cryptic, his last outing in a Red Bull was last season in Monaco. That was his last appearance.
Yeah, so that should be very, very interesting with how that goes. You said Cryptic. So Cryptic's last podium, you have to go all the way back to the season finale at Abu Dhabi last season. He is the highest driver in the championship, like we mentioned last week. Without a podium, it still remains the same way. You mentioned corners, and I think there's one you're missing, in my honest opinion. I have to say, turn 7, and it is exactly where the Alfa Romeo of Grandpa is about to go through right here now. That corner is exactly where I think we could see a ton of track limits warnings already, which we've invalidations already, and turn 9, no name as well, is another one where I think we could see some invalidations. Just people pushing the limits a little too much, and some of these corners we've talked about track limits. Sometimes it becomes a little tricky to race wheel to wheel through there. These drivers have to be careful. They have to give each other the room, and if they don't, we could see an airplane crash. And noticing the chat there, yeah, we are the commentators for a reason. I absolutely suck. So we're the commentators for a reason, and we try to put on the show for you guys to enjoy the action here in RPL. So I hope you are enjoying the action, and if you are, make sure you do end up giving us a follow, because next week we're at the same track as I believe either F2 or Tier 2. I'm trying to look now. Same track as F2 in the Netherlands, and Tier 2 next week is in Spain. So keeping it in Europe for the next couple of weeks here for RPL.
You know, I'm just noticing, maybe one of the drivers can probably shed some light on it, but I just noticed the skies are getting darker on this track. Is there a possibility we might see maybe some rain later in the qualifying session?
Well, I did ask the Tier 1 drivers in the chat, and I haven't seen anybody respond yet. Guggy did want to know how long is left in the session. He has 5 minutes to join back. Or, sorry, join in. Excuse me. Who was that? Was that the Chiller or Ads who just set a time? I think that was the Chiller. Look at this top 4, 5, 6 area. I know you might think nothing of it, but in reality, this track is, what, 100 seconds long to negotiate? Minute 41. You want to get out there 2:30, 2-ish, 2 minutes at the very, very latest. Look at the gap up at the top 4. We'll say top 5's kinda. I mean, the fact that it's even that close, these guys can find a lot of time in their laps and still, you know, maybe not go fastest by a lot. That is how close this is, considering this is at the longest track in F1. And we've just got word, no rain in the session. But it is cloudy, so we do see that. So there you go.
Yeah, so currently only one driver yet to come out and set a lap, that being Tadpole. He's the only one yet to come out and get a lap done. Currently we have 2 more right now in the bottom 5. Blue Goggy is asking for the invite now, so let me get him quick.
I can get him. While you focus on a
Oh,
lap,
you got him?
I can get him. Yeah, I got him.
Okay.
He's on my friends list.
Yeah, go ahead and get him. Okay, so anyway, so other than Tadpole yet to get a lap in, well, Blue Goggy comes in and manages to get a setup quick and get a lap in, he should be okay. But currently, right now for the bottom 5, with Tadpole yet to set a lap, Shanghai is in that bottom 5, and so is Owen. I mean, these guys are going to have to set a few extra tenths in order to get themselves out of the bottom 5, because currently, that bomb currently sitting comfortably in the 15th, but maybe a little thinking about it is going to be Wiseau. I was just on deck with Owen. He is half a second up after Sector 2, so this could put him up into 12th place. Let's see what he's got after he comes into the final chicane. As he's roaring his way around, he's nearing the end of that ERS deployment and gets it across, and it is 12th fastest, 43.3. So that puts Wiseau down into the bottom 5.
So what I notice here is Ads and a couple other drivers are calling it quits who have already set lap times that look to be good enough. The thing I'm maybe not questioning, but a little worried about if I'm a driver. Obviously, if I'm a driver, I would want to go out just about now. You don't want to wait any longer, especially with any traffic concerns of the remaining 10-ish drivers in our session. That lap time point set. That's what, 43.3? Right above that's 43.2. That's where I feel like the concern becomes. Can you get a lap time that's better than that? Can you get a lap time that would set you in? I feel like that's around where our benchmark's going to be, anywhere from a 43.2 to a 43.4, 43.5. I think that's where it will be about or around. So beat Nick on a nut lap, Grandpa on a nut lap, Tadpole on a nut lap. He's finally out.
And Wiseau is on a timed lap. He's only 900ths up after the first sector, so yeah, he's gonna get himself out of the bottom 5, but just barely. He's gonna get himself right into the 15th for right now. But that's just Sector 1. Anything can happen in Sector 2 and 3. Currently on board with him. Getting camera angle on him. He's navigating through Puhan. I mean, literally, this corner, you could just basically go flat out. It's really wild just to watch, especially on the telemetry.
And the chicane is so tough to negotiate.
Yeah, he's got a Haas coming up ahead of him. I believe that Haas is, I think that's Tadpole? Is that Tadpole ahead, or is that Owen? Well, Blue Goggy's here, but unfortunately, he's not going to get time to get a lap in.
At least he gets a setup in, though. That's a good thing before the races. Wiseau's now coming through the final couple of corners, negotiating his way through. We should see what the benchmark's going to be.
Bus stop chicane.
Owen is done.
Okay, so it was Tadpole.
Yes, Owen is done. Come on, it's Wiseau. Okay. Here he is.
Here we go. 13th. So that puts Gerard in the bottom. Tadpole's crossed.
Oh, Shanghai barely misses out. He just crossed the line and improves, but he's just behind his teammate Beatnik.
Yeah, so I think Shanghai, I mean, even with what he's got, I think he is done. He's got no chance. He's got no chance to improve.
Zakaria and Redfire, by the way, were basically just about the same time.
Tadpole's out. He invalidated.
Oh, put the Grandpa to give us some action now. I don't think Shanghai's going for another one. He can't. He's not going for another one. So it's Grandpa who is the main focus now. As we just mentioned, Redfire and Zakaria, basically an even lap time, and Grandpa is improving by a tenth. This would knock Beatnik out, who I don't know if he's on a lap. He is on a lap. What's he doing in the first sector? He's 75,000 steps, so they're both trying to knock out Weiso right here if both of them want to get in. Because Owen's safe, Minion's safe, anyone else in front of that, they're safe. Checker flag, obviously, out L74G. Hives to the drivers who still are on track. So, Grandpa coming through.
Yeah, it's unfortunate
now.
with Tadpole being out.
Exactly.
I wonder what lap he would have had if he didn't invalidate.
Well, to see. Up right now as he's about to come to the end of sector 2 is Grandpa. Let's see what this is going to be at the sector split.
I see an Aston Martin ahead.
Yes! 5/10. That's Zakaria, by the way. And is he going to get a slip from Zakaria, who's invalidated? So Zakaria trying to find his way through back to the pit lane and maybe not hinder anybody or give a tow.
Beatnik's just under 5/10 up.
So this would knock out Weiso. It's been good enough to do just that. Grandpa enters the bus stop chicane. Penultimate corner, final corner to the start-finish line. Can he get through mistake 3 and come to the line and get through? Yes, he can easily. 12th place. How about Beatnik now? Can Beatnik get himself out of Q1? Has he kept mistake 3 in the last sector? To the line. Weiso's out.
So Weiso done. Shanghai out. Tadpole out. TB out serving a ban. And Blue Goggy came in late, and he would have been there. Also, I just checked with Tadpole's time. He had a 43.2, which would have put him 14th had it counted. He had a 43.236, which would put him between Grandpa and Minions, which would have knocked Owen out had Tadpole not invalidated in Eau Rouge.
So our cutoff was 43.3, 43.4. That seemed a little obvious to us. I'm not surprised about that. Our top of the board was 48.1, 41.9 following. So we shall see what happens with Q2 and heading into Q3 for our pull time after that. But who would you say is a shock before we go over our order right here, being out in Q1? I would say Weiso. Sorry, I did not expect it.
Yeah. I mean, had he not invalidated, I would actually, since he invalidated and stuff, I would have said Tadpole, because, I mean, Tadpole, even in not so great cars, he's actually known to doing pretty good in some of the poorer performance cars. But I do agree with Weiso being a bit of a shock one as well. But yeah, so those are the ones eliminated: Weiso, Shanghai, Tadpole, TB, with Goggy showing up late. Scyther, Cryptic, and Bourbon make up your top 3.
That's
so.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I think this is what, the 4th week in a row we had a Ferrari, a Red Bull, and Mercedes 1, 2, 3 in Q1.
That's so much this season, to be honest. We're in the halfway point, so it may as well happen more. In
yeah,
fact,
I think it's literally the fourth week in a row.
And McLaren to that mix. Top 4 for them.
I mean, if they stay as is, like they get the one Ferrari, one Red Bull, one Mercedes, or 1, 2, 3 in Q2 and in Q3, it'll be the 3rd straight qualifying session through and through that we've had it happen. We had it last week in Hungary. We had it last week, the week prior in Silverstone. We didn't get that chance in Austria because I believe my memory's right. One of the McLarens got into the top 3 in Q2. But yeah, it's just wild to say the least. And it looks like Luke is going to be the first one to lead out these guys out. Well, it's kind of interesting to see Luke out here, leading it off first. I mean, some interesting facts with Luke. I mean, literally, Luke, a three-time,
Two-time champion.
My mind went blank for a sec. A
There you
3-time
go.
Tier 1 champion, a 5-time RPL F2 champion. So, I mean, I literally just said it last season, 2 seasons ago. Luke is pretty much better than Lewis Hamilton because he's got 8 championships and Lewis doesn't.
Oh, wow. You're gonna piss off
Yeah,
Lewis fan base
I
in
was
the
that
chat.
brutal there. Also, Luke is also the winningest RPL driver in RPL right now. He has a grand total of 90 victories to his tally,
Okay, so he isn't Lewis Hamilton,
42 Tier 1 wins, 46 F2 wins, and 2 wins in Tier 2.
then. Yeah. I mean, Luke's impressive. I give him that. I will say, credit is due where credit is due for sure. Just one thing before we get some lap times going and predictions going. Since Blue Goggy joined in late, I wanted to mention this at the end of our qualifying session in Q1. Now, obviously, he joined the session late, he didn't get a lap time in, and they're just racing their way down the final chicane, which is ridiculously crazy. Goggy joining the session late, not getting a lap time in, just barely getting a setup in. You know, he's going to start P20. I wish there was a feature on this game to where guys like Goggy, who end up not getting a lap time in, end up joining late, like that. I wish there was a feature to start from the pit lane because it would be perfect around here. You know, it's happened before. How many times with drivers in real life or just general in real life? That'd be a good feature for the next game on F124. Would love it.
I think that would be a nice feature at least to have like events where like people start from the pit lane and stuff like that. But I mean, with EA and Cody's, it'd be kind of tricky for them to figure out. Okay, how are we gonna get this thing to work? Can we make sure it works fine without glitching?
Yeah, I agree.
Which we don't give a we don't give a crap about. We release a half baked game with a crap ton of glitches and bugs. So the people will whine, and go like, okay, we'll do this over the course of like several months, and then the game will be normal by next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
I mean,
give them
literally
credit
me
here
going
because
off on that. That's literally my representation of what Cody's and
I
EA
know.
are right now.
I agree, and I think I'll say this though. to give credit though, I'll say the F123 game has been a lot better produced. It's not just copy pasta. And the thing too with it is that there's not as much glitches. There's still the glitches, which is a little ridiculous. You know, there's some that's like, why are they still in the game? Oh, it was back in F1 2018. Okay, cool. You know, so yeah, I get your point there. If they could pull off some of the things they pulled off in this game quite well, I think they could pull it off. But we're about to finish laps here, and Cryptic, I believe, is going to be either the first or
I'm just gonna cut in for just a sec. For one of the guys, one of the drivers in the lobby right now. If you're watching the stream as well, can one of you guys get Minions back in? He lagged out. He needs an invite back in. I don't have him on my ting, so I can't get him back in. But Cryptic just set the benchmark 42.7 flat. Not bad.
Fair play to him. We have McLaren coming across the line. We have a Mercedes SL74G invalidated. Behind that's a Ferrari Chiller, 10th off. I love this classic circuit. You know, I really enjoy racing a track around like this, around a track like this. And the thing that I was going to add on is every league race I've commentated here or raced in here, so many DNFs, so many incidents. You know, Tier 2 had a lot of incidents, but was really good on the DNF side when they ran here last. As for Tier 1 this time, we've been good on the DNFs this season so far with, full groups and a lot more races recently as well. Less safety cars, only one VSC to our stances in the last 3 races. You also have as well.
Heck in F2, we've had I noted we had a couple of incidents, but we had no safety cars in either one of the races. The safety car actually took a vacation day.
Yeah, which is good, and hopefully it could stay the same here as well. I know there were some in Tier 2, but either way, I'm impressed with the run Tier 1 has been on recently. We just can't let that change here at Spa for sure. I'll say that. But yeah,
agreed.
Drivers setting lap times now. We have multiple drivers either invalidating lap times coming across the line. I believe Scyther's just started a lap. We have an Aston Martin. That is Ads, who is just fastest with a 42.6.
Fastest, wow.
Yeah, that's a statement.
Did not expect that.
A statement. But They're still
Luke wound up invalidating, so he's finishing up his. T.S. Korsman, aka Flaw, he did invalidate his first lap. He also invalidated his next lap. But Luke comes across 43-3 for the multi-time Tier 1 champion.
weren't they just in the 41.8s, 41.9s back in Q1? I'm confused on what the memo is and why this session's been a little slower. So we shall
I
see.
believe the fastest lap was right around in the 41.7, I believe. That was the last
48
one.
with Scyther, yeah. There was 3 or 4 of them in the 41.9s, I believe, in Q1. Scyther's on a lap right now.
Bourbon invalidated. Cookies on one.
We should definitely...
Fire invalidated again.
I was going to say, with Scyther, we should definitely talk about the fact that with him, when he has raced the season, he's not finished worse than second in all but one race. So, you know, even though he's missed the races, he's been Mr. Consistent, similar to Reese, who's only been off the podium once this season. And with Scyther coming through now, you have Lunchama.
And slight interesting fact about with Scyther, he is currently the second winningest driver in RPL right now. He is behind Luke by quite a bit.
Here we go.
Scyther currently has 50 to his credit. There's your answer. There's your 41.
Yeah, it is.
Good God.
That
1.4 seconds.
Talk
about a massacre.
Long margin. Wow.
Anyway, so with Scyther, he has 23 F1 wins to his credit. He is a 2-time F1 champion, winning it in season 6 and in season 7. In F2, he is a 26-time F2 winner, a 2-time champion. Won it in season 12 and last season in F2. He didn't participate in the F2 race in Qatar earlier today. And also, Scyther also has a couple wins in Tier 2 as well. He only has 2 of them. Just like Luke.
Similar to Luke, yeah, exactly. Reese is on a lap right now. Speaking of our 2 most consistent drivers, you have Reese, you have Scyther. Scyther set a time. We're now about to be on board Reese. Red Fire just set a time that's 4th fastest, but Reese is coming through the middle sector right now. That chicane, I can't even tell you how many times it's tricky. It's hard to get it right. That curbing could suck you right in. And here we go. Last corner of Sector 2. He is flat out clipping those curbs. 13-4 in the middle sector. He goes purple. Now you're coming up to the final couple of corners. How about Blanchima, which is absolutely flat out unless you're racing wheel-to-wheel with another driver. Sometimes you might want to downshift through here. He's going up to 200 miles per hour through here. And now it goes back down just to go back up 200 again as he reaches the final chicane. 18, 19 to most people, 19, 20 to some. Here we go, out of the final corner. The air supply to the line. Reese does clap back, but it's only 4 tenths behind though, so at least this should be safe enough to get through to Q3.
Absolutely. And speaking about with Q3 and stuff, let's go into our favorite fun time, prediction time.
Yes.
Who do you got for your 5 that are not going to be making it into Q3?
Well, speaking of one guy currently bottom 5, Grandpa's on the lap. We should go on board with him while we talk about this. With that being said, bottom 5. Okay. Owen, Zakaria, Beatnik, and this is tough after that. Grandpa, and I hate to say him, but I'm gonna say Minions. I'm sorry. Bosco gets through. He's been impressive so far.
I'm gonna agree with all but one. I'm actually gonna put Boss Cookie as my 5th, and I'm actually swapping Boss Cookie to be eliminated with Owen going through to Q3.
Wow. That is bold.
I mean, I think the separation between 10th and 11th, it's going to be between Boss Cookie and Owen. But I think the separation is going to be, I'm actually going to go really insane. It's going to be under 0.06 of a second. That's how close it is. Oh my God!
Well, I don't think that's a surprise, in all honesty, with the way the session lined up so far, because the benchmark to get through was a 43.4, and right now there's 3 drivers below that. And of course, track evolution, things are going to improve. You can see at the start of the session, we thought Cryptic's lap time was quite good, and it clearly wasn't. Axe's lap time was clearly quite good, it wasn't. And then Scyther went
Well,
in and
I
set a
think we can
bomb of
easily
lap
say
time.
one of our picks is definitely not going to be on there because Gerard is currently 4th fastest right now.
I'll tell you this right now: is Gerard uses some interesting track from the tier to either get out of the way or back. I don't know what he was doing right there. I'm going to clip that just in case. Either way, Cryptic just sets 4th fastest. TX also goes 2nd fastest. I think if you're 5th or higher, you don't have to rerun. I think Grandpa, even being 6th fastest, you might have to rerun. That's the scary part about this right now, as Scyther calls it quits.
Yeah. I think the reason why Grandpa went off on that chicane was because Minions was on a time lap. He didn't want to get in Minions' way. So
Okay,
that's probably why he went off in that chicane. Because he was letting Minions by. He didn't want to get in the way.
Getting a slipstream from a Red Bull. That is Cryptic right there as he heads into Sector 2. Boss Cookie flying so far with a 3.1. That's, I think, 4/10 better than some of the guys who are 6th to 10th right now on our boards. This could be interesting from Boss Cookie. I know you're on board with Minions right now. He's about to come across the line. Some of these guys have not even set laps so far. Minions, Bourbons, I mean, you name it. All these guys as well.
Yeah,
Just
I think Bourbon is just starting his. And Minions go 6th fastest.
There you go.
Okay, maybe me thinking Gerard's P3 a couple minutes ago may be a bit premature because he's falling downwards. So
Definitely.
I'm thinking these guys are just really stepping it up.
Yes, some of them might have used some old sets as well. We have Boss Cookie coming through the sector split. It's a 4-1. Someone just crossed the line right there, I believe, as well.
We got a McLaren about to finish his lap. Looks like the Chiller is on a timed lap. Oh, nope, he's coming into the pits.
Yep.
Boss Cookie, heading into the chicane. Let's see
coming
what he's got for time. There's a Haas a bit slow. That's Owen. Well, he's on an out lap, so just making sure to stay out of the way. And Boss Cookie, 9th fastest.
While that happened,
Well, that might not be good.
While that happened, Adams went 6th fastest as well in the Aston Martin, so I think he should be safe compared to where everyone else is at. Bourbon Boy, the only one he has to set a time. Red Bull Cryptic coming back.
Luke's not doing too good. He keeps invalidating his laps. He's only got a minute 20 now.
Owen's out there. He's going to start a lap right now as well. Beatnik is just behind that. He's going to start a lap. Red Fire Tiger behind that. Going to start a lap. So all these guys will be the guys we have to watch out for when it comes to do they invalidate, do they not? Because they are just, you know, one lap time right here, and Bourbon is the one coming to the checker flag now. What can he get in the Mercedes as he comes across the line? Can he get inside that top 6 area to be safe? Yes, he can. He is 6th fastest, just ahead of the Aston Martin of Ads, and behind Reese as well.
Yeah, so Bourbon just sets it 6th fastest, and only just a couple more seconds left to go. I think about 30-ish seconds, and let's see. Looks like the first guy that will be crossing once everything is set. Well, Zakaria is currently slowish, so looks like Zakaria, sadly, his day is done. Boss Cookie on a cooldown lap. Ads on a cooldown lap. It looks like Luke is going to be next up. He's a 10th up after Sector 1. So it's going to improve, but it's still not going to be moving him where he wants to go. Going right behind him. So pretty much Zakaria is out of Q2. So that's unfortunate for Zakaria. He is out.
Here we go.
Luke currently going through. I didn't see how much faster he was in Sector 2. Dang it, didn't catch that. But here we go. As Luke is working his way down towards the chicane. He has to beat a 42.6 to get into Q3. Let's see what he's got as he comes out of the final corner. Puts the power down, and it is 8th fastest, so he is through. Boss Cookie is out. Owen does not improve. He stays 14th, and he's out. Here comes Beatnik now across the line. It's only 13th fastest. Red Fire now, ready to cross the line. Here he comes, 9th fastest, and it just knocks Gerard out of qualifying. Wow. So Zakaria, Boss Cookie, Beatnik, Gerard, and Owen all out from Q2. And the gap between 10th and 11th between Minions and Gerard is dead on 1/10 of a second.
McLarens, 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls, 2 Mercedes into Q3, and then an Aston Martin and an Alpine. Well, I have to say, 5 different teams in that bottom 5 in that relegation zone. Wow. You know, thinking Gerard's lap time was good enough, backfired right there. It put him out. We thought it looked good as well. I thought he's got to run again, but it's because he wasted his tires in Q1, and he could only do 1 lap with fresh tires. That's exactly what costed him on the difference of getting through or not getting through. But you know, fair play to Minion sneaking through. Fair play to Red Fire Tiger sneaking through as well.
Well, I say by looks of it, from our predictions. I think by the looks of it, I think we got 4. We both got 4 right. Because you had Gerard, Beatnik, Zakaria, and Owen. But you had Minions going out, and he was fun, but he made it through. Oh wait, no, you beat me. You got 4, I got 3. Because I had Gerard and Owen going through, and they didn't.
So Grandpa, Boss Cookie, Beatnik, Zakaria, Owen, the 5 drivers out. Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, Williams, Aston, Haas make up the 5 teams for the drivers out, and we have a 41-2 at the top of the session. Interesting chatter in our Tier 1 drivers chat. Red Fire Tiger talking about he doesn't understand what he's doing wrong. He matches his flaw, which is TS in Sector 1 and Sector 3, but he's a whole second off of him in Sector 2. That is exactly where Red Fire is losing that time. So very interesting on where that time is being lost. But as for our pole sitters this season and the teams that make up into Q3 with, we've already gone over what different teams are in Q3. We have 6 different teams, 4 repeating. We've already went over that, but our pole sitters and, you know, driver pole sitters and team pole sitters this season include Scyther at 5 poles, DeChiller at 3, Bourbon with 2, and Reese with 1, meaning Ferrari of 8, Red Bull have 3. And in the last 6 rounds alone, interesting stat here, but 2 apiece for DeChiller, 2 apiece for Scyther, and 2 apiece for Bourbon. So, I mean, Ferrari Red Bull look like the favorites based on the season, but McLaren have put their nose right in there with TS Kortsman.
I completely agree. So here we go. We're off for Q number 3. Red Fire is going to be the one leading it off, unless Luke switches up with him. Let's go early with this one, and chat, feel free to take part in this as well. Who do you have as your predictions for the top 3 once Q3 is all said and done? Well, I'm going to go with my guesses, and, well, pole, I'm fairly confident I know who pole is going to be. It's going to be Scyther. But for 2nd and 3rd, I'm actually going the absolute insane path.
Okay.
I am going to say 3rd place is going to be Cryptic. I think Cryptic is going to get Reese just barely, but he'll be 3rd only. For 2nd, I am going with TS Korsman. I'm putting Korsman in 2nd place.
I love to wonder if Reese is hiding anything. That's why I wonder whether or not where I could place him. I mean, he's lagged out of the session, so if anyone can get him back in, that would be great. 12 viewers most of this weekend, so glad to have you guys in chat. Predict your give us your prediction, for pole position here today and the pole time, or the top 3. I'm going to go with pole time being. So we got into the 41.2s last session, and then we're in the 40s. It's tough to tell whether it's going to be 40.8, 40.9, but I'm going to say 40.9, maybe barely into the 40.8s. As for my top three, Scyther, TS Korsman, and I'm going to put in that top three. I want to put Cryptic in there, but I really think Reese has been hiding something. He is going to cover off Scyther, gaining more points in the race by starting inside the top three. Skither, TS Korsman, and Reese. So top three, that is three different teams. You are watching Red Fire Tiger on board right now, 30.0 at the end of the first sector. Let's go on board with this and talk about it while you give us your predictions in chat, folks. How about heading in an opening, turn number 9, always a tricky corner with the entrance of the curve, and a little bit of lag right there from Red Fire, but I think we've got ourselves figured out there as he almost went wide right there. Now in Puan, which you could just about take flat out or take flat out, depending on the car you are in. I'd say if there comes to the chicane that is very tricky right here, could be ride or die or balls to the walls when it comes to those curves. How about the final corner of Sector 2 now, as he is absolutely trying to push the limits. Is he invalidated though? No, he just barely went out. 13.8 going purple. You have chat predictions. 40.7 by Scyther from Beatnik. P1 Skither, P2 Reese, P3 Bourbon from Gerard, and Beatnik loving his Mercedes toys, rooting them on as Redfire comes at the final corners. Stop chicane, penultimate corner, final corner. Comes out of it. What's he going to do when it comes to the benchmark time? What are they going to have to beat? It is going to be a 42.2 for the McLaren driver. Did he find time compared to his teammate, who he's feeling he's lost a second to in the second sector? We'll just have to find out in the next couple of minutes. Next across the line will be L74G. Can he better that? You bet he is just right behind, 50 thousandths. And next is going to be a Ferrari. That is the Chiller 42-1. Your pole sitter from 2 of the last 6 rounds is back on top for now, but Reese steals it right back. 41-4. Red Bull, 3 poles of the season so far, trying to make it 4 with Reese on provisional pole. And here comes Scyther, who has the most of them all. How about Scyther adding another one to his name? 40.9 already.
You know, I forgot. I need to put what my guess is for the poll time. So you said 40. You said 40.8. I'm actually gonna go. I'm actually gonna go a bit more insane. So you said 40.8. Beatnik put in a 40.7.
Oh God, here we go.
I'm gonna say my dead on. I think poll time is going to be 40.683.
Okay,
I'm saying 40.6.
You, Gerard,
is gonna happen.
You, Gerard, and Beatnik are getting straight to the dot. You know, I said 40.8, 40.9. We're already to the 40.9, so I'll say 40.814ish. I'll go to the number this time. I usually don't, but I'll go to it. 40.814. We have Bourbon, who's on a lap, who's almost getting blocked there by ads. That got close, and Bourbon either got some slipstream or got hindered by it. Those are well, I shouldn't say teammates. Those are academy teammates, I'll call it, as I think Bourbon is either backed off slightly of the lap or is not running as fast as he previously did, and he is definitely backing off now. He has said, that did not help me one bit.
I think, because Bourbon was on a hot lap and Ads was on a cool down lap. I mean, it was right at the top of Radion, so Bourbon comes up at the top of the hill, sees Ads right there, and it basically messed with his time up. So probably Bourbon not happy to have his lap being hindered because of Ads' placement up at the top. I mean, if it gets clipped and sent to the stewards, they'll probably have to look at Ads impeding in that section. I mean, if it is indeed an impediment, and Ads does get penalized for it. In regards to the RPL rulebook, if you impede during qualifying, you could be subject to a quali ban for the next event.
Well, there you go. Minions starting.
But I mean, it's if it gets clipped and submitted to the stewards, and if that comes to that. sense.
You know what they say?
But yeah,
No-
I mean,
no
it
proof.
looked a little bit dangerous. That I will admit, but I'm not really sure.
I think he gave him just enough room to get. We definitely impeded him for sure. Minions going with the 29-9 through the first sector, but he invalidates it. That was going to be so good. That first sector right there was absolutely incredible. He was balls to the walls, and he looks like he's got a good setup on with it. 29.9. What has our pole sitter done in the first sector? Our pole sitter's done a 30.1. Reese with a 30.0. Cryptic 29.9. I mean, the only one who's better in the first sector than what Minions just tried to do right there is Cryptic. And he was setting up for a good lap, but invalidation, you can't invalidate. And speaking of someone invalidates, only other driver who's about to start a lap on track is the Chiller, who we were talking about invalidating a lot when it came to last week in Hungary. The Chiller is trying to go for a 4th pole of the season, and Ferrari's 9th.
Well, it looks like Red Fire has decided to call it early for his Q3 run. He's currently in 6th, but that could fall to 8th, given that Bourbon and Minions have not set a lap yet. But Minions is going back into the pits. He's gonna have to just reset and just try again. Well, the Chiller is currently on an outlap right now. So compared to his teammate, he is behind Scyther by 1.2 seconds. To get himself into the top 3, he has to gain another 7/10 of a second to get into that top 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting to see. Sometimes with the Chiller, he's either within like a couple of tens, right with his teammate, or even slightly ahead of his teammate. But then there's also times when he's up against Scyther, he could be at least at minimum 7-8 tenths behind.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're a different team, but I mean, it could be possible maybe Scyther is, I mean, if I could put the similarity, maybe Scyther is Max and T'Chiller is Checo. But that's just based off like how they looked in like pace wise. You know what I mean?
You could say that. I think because of how the Chiller is, I'll call it inconsistent, which will be Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas. The difference being, though, is the Chiller's not really been beating Scyther in qualifying. You know, and he has sometimes, but very rarely. He has that Saturday moment, and here he comes to the end of the sector as we go on board with him to see what lap time he can do. Drivers wanting to get out there just now. The last driver who will be getting out there is Cryptic. 1 minute 52 as he leaves the pit lane, so he better hope he's not caught up by any traffic as the Chiller is going purple in the first sector. And since we speak of him going purple in the first sector, I want to also mention as well, Scyther, his teammate, the issues where he's having on track that he feels is turn 1 and the first corner of sector 2, like those are the corners he says, quote unquote, he cannot do for the life of him. Well, he's 4.5 tenths out of the field, so if he can pull out something in those corners, we could see a 40.8, we could see a 40.7, we could see a 40.6. So a lot can still happen, and he could still improve by a ton as his Chiller is up now by 4 tenths, almost 5 tenths. This is exactly the kind of time he needs to set himself inside the top 3 that we were just talking about. Currently, 2 Red Bulls sitting in there, trying to put a second Ferrari in there and knock one of the Red Bulls out of there. And the big thing for the Chiller as well, with his performance so far this weekend and the last couple of races, Ferrari, 93 points back in the constructors. Scyther, 59 points back in the drivers. Everything you can do to help your teammate, everything you can do to help yourself, come to the line. It will be faster, but he still remains 4th fastest. Next is everybody starting a lap, and Bourbon's already started his.
Yeah, so Bourbon has begun his time lap as cars are just getting themselves associated and ready to go for a final run. So Bourbon Minions yet to set a lap. We had two call back out for the hello. Bourbon's upside down.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
Bourbon upside down on his side endless combs. He had a snap of oversteer endless combs gone off and just went for a tumble. My God, literally, in regards to commentating for Tier 1, we haven't seen a flip like that on this game yet. And the last time we had a flip was Flynn in Austria during Q2 when he went flipping out of the final corner.
Wow, unbelievable way
But
to
my
end this
God,
section.
that was a horrible wreck.
I just missed that. I had to catch the stream point of view because I went to TS Korsman, who is going to be the next driver to cross the line in the McLaren. We've seen him two in these sessions so far. Can we see him?
Minions,
right
this
behind
lap is
Scyther?
not going to count either. He invalidated again in
Oh.
Eau Rouge. So
TS
Minions
Korsman
is going to have to start P10.
Up 7/10. TS Korsman wasn't he just invalidated?
I just checked it. I just checked the chat. Beatnik just went, Bourbon, my wallet, it hurts.
Oh. Reese.
Ouch. Oh, Luke invalidated.
Yeah.
That ain't good.
Reese is going to be the first one of the drivers who still is available to put in a lap time that's
T.S.
valid.
Korsman invalidated too.
Yeah, I just mentioned that a moment ago there. He was 7/10 up on his time. It was going to be P2, P3, but Reese is the one who's going to cross the line and try to better his time. He'll be the first one to do so in the Red Bull. He's trying to hang on to front row currently, while Cryptic also follows as well. We have L74G who could take something as well, but I believe he's invalidated. As you have Reese in the bus stop chicane now, coming off of it. Can he get closer to Scyther? When it comes to pole position, he can, but he still remains second. Can Cryptic better that? Who's currently down in his time?
4 milliseconds.
He does better it, but doesn't get past him. So it is going to be Scyther on pole position for a 6th time this season in his return to RPL for the first time in the last
And
month.
I think Ad's just nipped 5th place.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
Stand-up
He
performance
just
in our
nipped it
qualifying.
from T.S. Korsman. So Scyther on pole, Reese second, and Cryptic third. Well, I mean, if we didn't go in exact order, you and I both got 2 right because you had Scyther and Reese. I had Scyther and Cryptic.
Yeah.
But I mean, we went dead on, and I got you. I got two in their correct positions.
Absolutely. Scyther, Reese, Cryptic, Chiller. That's your top 4. Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari. Then adds TS Korsman, Redfire, L74G, Bourbon, and Minions for your top 10. So this race should get interesting.
I just checked the driver chat. Had T.S. Korsman not invalidated his time, you would have been right in all 3 of them. His time was actually enough for P2.
Yeah, I was saying
So
that.
you would have had all 3 of your spots in the dead-on position.
Yeah, I was saying that. I don't think you heard me. How he invalidated there, and I was on board with him, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, he's got this going perfect for him, and he was 7/10 up. So while you check the drivers with their tire strategies, here's what the strategy probably will look like. Soft to hard, medium to hard, soft to medium at a stretch. I mean, you can maybe do it, but you gotta be careful when it comes to limiting your tires. And in all honesty, you gotta be careful when it comes to punctures, tire wear, whatever it may be. Just manage your tires well. You could also do the revert of that: hard, medium, hard, soft. You could probably do hards from the opening couple of laps after you end up with damage in the opening lap, but you're gonna be at risk toward the end. You better hope you can do it well and have it not happen lap 1 or have a safety car with it. And we are prone to safety cars around this track, but only 1 VSC in the last 3 rounds.
All right, so let's get a quick recap of the grid before these guys go. So we got Blue Goggy, TB, back row, Tadpole, Shanghai, row 9, Weissel, Owen, row 8, Zakaria, Beatnik, row 7, Cookie, Gerard, row 6, Minions, Bourbon, row 5, row 4, Luke, Red Fire, T.S. Korsman, Ads, row 3, The Chiller, Cryptic, row 2, Reese and Scyther on the front row. 5 lights come on to start the Belgian Grand Prix of RPL. And it's lights out, and away we go. Good reaction time from Scyther as they head into turn number 1. And looks like a bit of a switch up. Here comes Reese down the inside to make the challenge already for the lead. But Scyther just gets the better exit out of La Source. Reese up in the second. Cryptic stays in third. T.S. Korsman up a position. DeChiller falls to fourth. And Reese gets ahead. Up on Rouge they go. And Reese inherits the lead. Here comes Cryptic, though, on the outside. Getting ahead of Scyther as they head down the Kemmel Straight. And here we go into turn number 5. Scyther decides to bail off. T.S. Korsman gets himself in the third. Scyther falls to fourth. The Chiller down in 5. cars in the middle bunching up together, getting into position. Bourbon up into 8th, Minions 9, Gerard up into 10th. And more cars are just filing and getting themselves into position. Red Fire starting to tumble a bit down the order. He's down in 12th right now.
Yeah, he's lost 5 positions on the opening lap, and there was a Haas who had to run off at turn 1 as well. I believe that was either Tadpole or Owen. And if it was Tadpole, he's gained 3 spots back from it as well. Look at the opening laps. 2 positions from L740.
Scyther down the inside of Korsman.
Yes, Korsman. Yeah, it was a Red Bull sandwich right there. There's more contact between them. And yellow flags. That's
Bourbon around. That's Bourbon around in campus. He's down into the back of the field now.
Now you've got Scyther who overtook.
I don't see any damage, so it looks like he's okay.
You've got Scyther who took TS Korsman, who's put the Chiller in that position to overtake him now and for the lead. Cryptic on Reese already. Is he going to go for the bus stop chicane? He looks down the inside. Light braking. This is going to be close. It's going to be tight, but it's going to be Reese who leads lap 1 with a little bit of contact, and Scyther now right there in the wings.
That's the first lap finishes off as Cryptic down the inside in La Source. Let's see what happens here as Cryptic does get ahead, but Reese is probably not willing to give that up lightly. Scyther sticking his nose in as well. As they head up over Rouge Grande on Scyther, plays it safe and bails off. We have another incident in Sector 1. That's Boss Cookie that's gone around on the exit of La Source. So literally our first lap, it is Cryptic, Reese, Scyther, Korsman, to Chiller, Luke, Ads, Minions, Beatnik, and Red Fire making up the top 10. Let's get a quick look of the tires here from everybody here. So let's see. We got Shanghai, Owen,
Scyther down the inside of Reese.
Scyther down the inside.
Yeah,
gets into second place. Nice work by Scyther there.
Yeah, that was right before No Name right there. Caught Reese snapping. Reese being on the hards, trying to maybe warm him up with the full lap being done now. He's got TS Korsman who's right in the back as well. He's looking for a move out of
boy, this is gonna get tight.
Move there. He's gonna have the inside line for the chicane, and it's going to be TS Korsman ahead. Reese now in a vulnerable spot again.
Very much so indeed. So looking at the tires, one as I tried to say that Shanghai, Owen, Weiso, Beatnik, Minions, and Korsman on the soft compound tire. Cookie, Bourbon, TB, Red Fire, and Reese on the hard compound tire, and the rest of the field is on the mediums. Let's take a look at the positions gained as these cars are filing more into positions. Currently, the biggest gainer right now is Blue Goggy with 7 positions gained, and he's the first one in the penalty box.
Oh!
But yeah.
They are beeping, bobbing and weaving, and they are all kicking it up for 13th place. It's all been chaos at the final chicane. And you said Goggy gained places. Whoa, they crashed!
Boy!
They're involved in a massive 3-car collision toward turn 1.
Oh my goodness!
Grandpa's now got his second penalty of the race with, and Goggy as well previously picked up a penalty right before all that. As the Chiller gets racing off.
Oh, someone else is off! Weiso into the wall!
Yeah, that's out of Rayon.
My goodness, incidents all over the place. TB, Owen, and Gerard coming together. The reason Gerard has a penalty, he has a 3-second track limit penalty, but he got a 5-second for corner cutting and gaining a place. I think it was probably because he took evasive action, maybe when Bourbon spun out on lap 1. That's probably what happened. I don't know. I didn't catch it, but Blue Goggy up in the 14th right now. Bourbon just a couple positions away to get himself back into the points. He's sitting in 12th right now. Meanwhile, going up to the front, Scyther all over the back of Cryptic. Both these guys are on the medium compound tires, so they're on the same tire strategy possibly. And the question is which one's going to blink first, as Scyther is all over the back of Cryptic as we're on board with him. I think he's going to make a dive down on the inside chicane, maybe. Nope, he decides to hold off, waiting for the DRS to come into effect, and he will have the DRS as they head down there. But also, TS Korsman on the Scyther compound tire. He is right behind the 2 leaders as they head down to La Source.
That's no battery when it comes to in comparison with Scyther. 25% to 70% Cryptic. Hanging on for dear life, Cryptic. No podium to his name this season. Holding on to the race lead as we're about to enter DRS on the Camel Straight here. Here's Scyther. Once again, charging at this race, the DRS applied. He's also using a better battery. Which way is he going to go? Which way does Cryptic make him go? Inside line for Scyther here as they go into Lake Com. And it is Scyther who's ahead as L74G also gets Reese in the process of a little bit of a stack up, which causes Reese to get by L74G once again. And Chiller was right in the back of TS Kordsman.
Looks like TS Kordsman making a move on the inside. It is quite tight between these two as they head into No Name.
Whoa!
And TS Kordsman, woo! That is tight, that is close, but they're still fighting it out. But Cryptic shoves him off for right now and maintains that second place. But TS Kordsman is going to try again to probably warrant a challenge to get himself into the second place spot. And, well, unfortunately for Cryptic, with that fight with Kordsman, he's now out of DRS range against Scyther. So pretty much Scyther is now long gone.
I think what Bulgari mentioned at the start as well, he did the same exact thing at Hungary last week where it's hard to overtake, gaining spots in the back, and there was so much happening just to cut in the last couple of laps at the back, so we apologize if we missed anything, but this battle for really the lead in the top 7 spots, all DRS. Minions now adding his name in 8th place to DRS as well. How about B-Nick as well gaining spots, and now Chiller is gaining a spot on Reese. And down the inside there at the box stop chicane, gonna invite Reese down the inside for turn 1. Reese with DRS though is gonna get it for now, but Chiller thinks of a cutback, and he does just that. Out of turn 1, here he comes on the run toward Rouge Radion. Chiller with the inside line. Which one of them is going to back out? It's going to be Chiller.
These guys, I mean, going side by side up a Rouge Radion, it's not unheard of, but it is extremely dangerous to do. As TS Kordsman passes Cryptic to get in the second, the Chiller trying to warrant a shot in the 4th, and he gets it.
Wow.
Just got him out of Les Combs, and he is up in the 4th. And Luke trying to warn an attack, and he does so down the inside against Reese, and Reese is now back down in 6th place. Maybe Reese on the hard tires, he might be thinking maybe the hard tires are not firing on all cylinders at this early stage.
This is your championship leader, by the way. He just fell down to 6 on the championship gap as we would run live right now. We would go from 59 points to 42. That is exactly how crucial it is for Reese not to lose these spots. You know, not having a good start there, or simply starting on a different tire, is exactly what could change your race. We saw Scyther didn't have the best of start when he started on pole. He fell back to 4th, but he regained those spots quickly, and he put Reese in a vulnerable spot to where Reese started falling down the order. And now this train goes all the way back to 7th, which Reese is about to be in that spot in just a moment if he does not be careful once again.
Yeah, because Ad's at the back of that train in 7th. I'm currently right now on with TS Kordsman. I think you're probably going to have to do some digging for me because I'm trying to remember if it was Season 7 or if it was in Season 6. I'm trying to remember the last time McLaren got a victory in Tier 1. I'm trying to think. I think it was either Season 7 France or somewhere in Season 6. That's what I was trying to remember for TS Kordsman there. But TS Kordsman does have DRS, so he'll try to keep Cryptic back, as Cryptic in ERS in regards to ERS only has 30-something%. TS Kordsman down the inside and gets past Scyther. Bad camera angle as Scyther gets a snap of oversteer and loses the lead to TS Kordsman. TS Kordsman now leads the field.
And now we have a virtual safety car.
VSC.
Yeah, that is for, I believe, Bulgari was missing his entire front wing.
So Blue Gagi, I believe, Blue Gagi now no wing at all. So Blue Gagi causing the VSC for the first time of the first safety car form in this session. So this is going to be quite interesting because we don't have a full safety car. If we did have a full safety car, this will easily benefit the soft tire runners because they'll be willing to just go, hey, I'll go in. I'll probably get onto the mediums and go rest of the way on the rest of the race on that compound. With the medium tire runners, maybe like they could probably take the risk if they want to.
Oh my God!
But we're back on the green now.
TS Kordsman napping. Here we go.
Yes, he has. See what happens here. Does he go down the ins? Is he going to warrant a shot down the inside? No, he does not. T.S. Korsman keeps him at bay. But also, let me literally look at this. T.S. Korsman, Scyther, and Cryptic, they are literally, at one point, they were so glued together. Uh-oh! Scyther gets onto the grass and goes around, and Scyther plummets down the order and is now all the way down in 8th place. Not good.
Well, that is the guy who's trying to recover in the championship. And now that would extend the
Here
gap.
goes Cryptic now against T.S. Korsman. Makes it easy and is up back into the lead. And Luke also cleared to Chiller to get in the 3rd. And looks like Reese follows suit and up in the 4th.
So
I watched that angle between Scyther and Korsman. I hate to say it because he is our driver, but I believe that spin out that was on Scyther. I think he had an accidental misplacement of his car, and he just caught the grass and around he went. So that was an error. That was an error on Scyther's part as he clears Beatnik to get into P9. Now is all over the back of Red Fire to get back in 8th.
very rare mistake from Scyther, in fact. T.S. Korsman's last victory last season in Japan, that was for Alpine. I'm now going to look for McLaren's last win as the Chiller is into the penalty box.
Yeah,
there you go.
So we have 6 drivers in the penalty box right now.
Who was at fault for that?
Minions.
On my
Gerard's at 11. Jesus.
Yeah. I couldn't really see who was at fault from on my end. It was a lot of lag in that moment, but it's very costly mistake there for Scyther. His
Speaking
grandpa.
of Gerard, he went around in Stavilo.
Yeah, there you go. That's going to be costly for him trying to go for points today.
Super unfortunate there, but yeah, T.S. Korsman trying to hunt down Cryptic to try to get that lead back. Looks like Minions has decided to come into the pits, and Minions, the first of the soft tires, and he's going onto the hard compound. So this is interesting. So maybe Minions is thinking, I don't think I have enough tire wear to go onto the sauce to go to the sauce rest of the race. As, by the way, Reese just clears Luke and takes 3rd place. The Chiller in hot pursuit against Luke. So this is going to be quite interesting to say the least, as Scyther and Red Fire were battling it out for the 7th place position. And unfortunately, well, Scyther trying his best. He's down on the inside as they head into Bruxelles. And Scyther is ahead. So Scyther back up to the 7th. But he's got a long ways to go. He's got 7.7 seconds to catch the 6th place car, which is Ads.
I think he's racing with a very heated mindset now because he's got to gain on reaching the championship. I mean, surely he's going to be pushing the laps of his life here to try to get back within the years of Ads. And it honestly could happen once the pit stops do happen for everybody and everyone cycles itself out. By the way, just checking the previous... Oh, we got yellow flags. That is Waiso around.
Waiso.
I'm checking previous races. T.S. Korsman's last win came in Alpine at Japan all the way back in last season's race in Tier 1.
Yep.
McLaren won previously this weekend in Bahrain in Tier 2, but that is Tier 2. As for Tier 1 itself, I think we're going all the way back here to France, maybe Season 7 with... old famous name in RPL, Joseph Loke. Let's look if the sorting decisions say otherwise right now on my screen.
I think that was Season 6.
There's Season 6 or 7.
My winners
Yes.
here. Oh, nope, it was Season 7. Yeah, it was Season 7.
Yep. Season 7, Round 11, France. The last time a McLaren has won in Tier 1. So we could be seeing it again today. And a little train formed, a 3rd on back, a little battle for the lead, Cryptic and T.S. Korsman trying to heat itself up. And we should be seeing some pit stops come out soon, because when it comes to our drivers on the soft tires, their chance of them being on a cliff or puncture range is about now to lap 11, lap 12. Medium runners, they'll be coming in the next 3 to 8 laps. Hard runners, well, they'll be coming in the next 5 to 10 laps. So we shall see what happens there. And with Bulgogi causing that VSC, that is our second VSC in the last 4 races. And I think both have actually been caused by Bulgogi, in fact. Funny enough.
Yeah, a little bit wild to say the least in that one. I was just on board with Luke a little bit ago. Still on board with him now, but going into Bruxelles, I just saw Reese get a little slidey going into Bruxelles, and he's having a bit some issues with with a bit of sliding on the exit of corners, on the rears, as Korsman is in the pits to get off those soft tires. But Reese, I mean, even though Reese is on the harder compound tires on the hards, I'm probably going to safely say his rears are probably getting more worn out than his fronts.
Yeah.
Because of some of the sliding that he's been dealing with. So
Well,
maybe Reese is having a bit worse tire wear on the hard compound than we initially think. Luke trying to hold the chiller back, but he has virtually no ERS.
Wow.
While the chiller has at least 10% more down the inside, and the chiller gets into 3rd place. But with that penalty, though, it's going to drop him much further back. So he's going to have to do something to get further up and keep the positions that he's in currently.
yeah, Luke's another one who's been sliding as well, and it's a lot with the rears. Bruxelles is a corner where you tend to lock up a lot, and the bus stop chicane, which we saw Luke have the previous lap. You mentioned Reese with those hards. Done a little bit of data digging, and this is 9 laps he's had in it. So he's probably around the 40 to 45% area. I'm trying to think. Anywhere from there is probably where he's at right now. And you gotta wonder what these medium runners are on right now as T.S. Korsman gets by Bourbon in this little battle, 8th place. And this is getting really tight right here because Zakaria could be holding him up. T.S. Korsman looking inside. This is not helping him when it comes to trying to get the race lead over Cryptic. These things cycle out as Vidic did pit with T.S. Korsman right there. And while others will be coming in the pits this time and next, the thing is, this is exactly where those guys will come out. So T.S. Korsman has to make sure he gets by Zakaria this time by. He does dive for the inside, wants to get by now. A little shove right there, but he does get through on Zakaria. The Chiller, Luke, and Ads, all of the 3 in front pitting, as Minions and Boss Cookie also stay put as they were thinking for an overtake on one another, heading into the bus stop.
Very true. So T.S. Korsman was on the soft tires when he pitted. He is now on the medium compound tire. Ads to Chiller and Luke, they were all on the mediums. They are on the hard compound tires now. So we're at the halfway point of this race. As, Blue Gagi is still having problems, to say the least.
Now.
Shanghai is just going in. He's getting off those hards, and he is on the mediums. Korsman in the penalty box now.
Well,
so currently looking at with the stops. Let's see. TB, Boss Cookie, Zakaria, Bourbon, and the top 4 have yet to pit at this moment right now. So T.S. Korsman still sitting in the 5th place spot, but he has that 3-second penalty, which if the race ended right now, would dump him down to 6th place.
Wow. I mean, that's costly. That really is costly. We were talking about last time. McLaren won last time. He won. That's just not what you can have at all when it comes to trying to fight for the win. But the good part is he's got a teammate in front of him, Red Fire Tiger, and that is Blue Goggy off once again. That is at the same corner Scyther crashed. However, Red Bull, Reese comes in.
Oh, Reese is in.
Yes, and that is important because if he does go to the mediums, he can get a good 6 to 14 laps on those tires out when it comes to tire wear. As for T.S. Korsman, he passes Red Fire. Zakaria almost missed the pit lane.
We'll see where Reese is going to be winding up coming out. So a good stop by Reese. The first of the hard tires to go in. And Blue Goggy's crash and the safety car.
That changes this race.
What timing there?
Completely. Wow. That is bad timing.
Blue Goggy crashes in the middle of Les Combs. That triggers the safety car. I mean, I don't even know why I got him to go in as a reserve. This is I mean, I should have known if he wanted preserving, he was going to crash. Because I mean, literally last week, he crashed, caused a safety car, and he does it again this week. I mean, literally, he was just doing... I mean, literally, I'm just going to say, if I want to compare Blue Gagi to someone with him just doing spin-outs and smacking into stuff a lot, he's basically exhibiting Leon behavior right now.
I don't know about that. I'll say this, though.
That's just my 2 cents.
I know. It does change the pit stop aspect of it. It changes the complexion of the race, and that's exactly why I can understand you as a team principal, us as a spectator, us as commentators, drivers being pissed off about it. You know, we've had 2 VSCs in the last 4 races, but it's now the first safety car in the last 4 races.
I also just realized with this safety car, I mean, if it plays the way it is, I'm thinking it by the looks of it, there is someone that could benefit from the safety car. Tia's Korsman could possibly jump ahead and get into the lead.
Yeah, it depends, but he also has 3 second with it though, so that's where it gets tricky, and he's pitting.
Maybe not. He's in.
Yeah, Reese should be the one who's staying out, and he is. And this is exactly what helps him as a teammate to Cryptic, and it's going to be a race between him and Cryptic out of the pit lane. Very big when it comes to the championship, by the way.
So Cryptic comes in, gets onto the soft tires. He's back on the track. He's going to lead up and hook up with the safety car. Reese is second. The Chiller third. Luke will take 4. Scyther's coming out in 5th place. T.S. Korsman in 6th. Beatnik stays out. He's going to inherit 7th. Redfire in 8th. Bourbon's coming out 9th. And Ads is going to come out to round out the top 10. As for the rest, looks like Zakaria just beat Minions out. Boss Cookie in 13th. Owen 14. Shanghai 15. Tadpole 16. Wiso 17. Grandpa 18. And TB. I mean, after that little incident, that 3 wide incident that he was in earlier on this race, TB has not really recovered much. He's still sitting in 19th.
And it's unfortunate because he had high expectations probably for himself, and we did for him too, considering Alpine's chances. Just a couple things to go over. Under the safety car, we have 7 different drivers in the penalty box, all with 3 except for Grandpa, who has had a ton of penalties to his name this race. Scyther, I mentioned with you just a moment ago. Scyther, big battle in the championship to try to catch back up with Reese. He is on the soft tire here, so we're going to go green in a couple of laps here. The big thing about it is this. With this safety car being out, he should be able to make it to the end on the soft tire. However,
yes,
he will have completely the tire at the end to Cryptic some of the other soft runners as well. Concern for punctures more so comes from Wiso and Zakaria. As for the rest of the punctures, I don't see a concern unless you've ran 3 or more laps on those mediums. Reese running 2nd, Scyther running 5th, mediums to softs. That is exactly what this thing is in comparison for the championship's sake and the driver standings. That is why it's so big right now. Obviously, Red Bull, they're going to obviously either extend their lead or only have the points cut down just a little bit when this race ends. And we don't mention the Chiller as he's running 3rd with a penalty for the exact reason that Scyther and Reese's consistency this season have absolutely been on point. It's phenomenal. So when you look at Scyther being just 3 points behind the Chiller in the championship, he has a lot more pace to take on the fight with Reese in the second half of the season and get those points gaps back. As for a couple other things as well, Cryptic, again, we've mentioned before, has not finished on the podium this season. Has a chance to do so for the first time in 12-ish races. Red Bull and Mercedes, they've kept their point streaks alive, it looks like, in this race. Bourbon, Luke in the points, Cryptic, Ruisun on the top as well. Off the tar, they've had 5 consecutive points finishes. If they want another one with Boss Cookie or Wiso today, they've got to have good restarts. Both on the soft tires, so they have a chance. A couple of guys with penalties in front as well. And Blue Doggy, DNFing. And we just want to hit him a little bit more. 8 DNFs in the last 3 races, not including today, so this will be the 9th one. But so far, considering Spa actually gets chaotic, incidents and everything, I know we've had a couple of incidents, but as for the DNF rate, only 1 so far today. So in my opinion, you put it a little harsh to him. I'm not going to put it too harsh, but for a driver that fills in Tier 1 for this being the 3rd time in the season, I think he should definitely stick it to Tier 2 and F2, where he seems to do better when it comes to filling in. I think for me as well, in my opinion, because I've watched Gagi kind of form, he started to form, and it's going to sound crazy, in a league I was in, a couple leagues I was in, he started to form into actually a really good driver and really started being consistent. The mistakes stopped happening, the crashes stopped happening as much, the incidents stopped happening as much, but then as soon as the league gets shut down, I hate to say it, but it's been a torpedo. He's been chaotic. And to me, I know he might not see it, or he might feel bad about it being said of him, but it's actually sad to see, in my opinion. If that league did not shut down that I'm referring to, maybe God's racecraft and race form would be a little bit better. But either way, one more time into the race, about to get back underway with Cryptic, Reese, Chiller, Luke, and Scyther, the top 5.
Yeah, so we're on board with Reese. Let's see how he reacts to Cryptic's takeoff. One driver that we haven't been talking much on, Beatnik, currently sitting in the 7th place position. But, I mean, he is going to be quite vulnerable because, literally Beatnik on mediums, Reese on mediums too. They're going to be vulnerable to the soft tires as Cryptic takes off just before the bus stop. We are off and back underway in Belgium. Green flag back in the air. Cryptic leading the way as they head down to La Source. We got a move here between Luke and the Chiller for 3rd place. Luke down the wait, no, that's Scyther. I'm sorry. Scyther trying to overtake Luke to get himself into 4th place. He does so up into there. I feel really bad. I accidentally got the Chiller confused with Scyther. That was my fault there. T.S. Cordsman, by the way, all over the back of Luke. Luke is actually putting on to refire back. Oh my God, that was close.
In the back on Borbin and Beatnik almost crashed at a Rouge. That got close. However, T.S. Cordsman going to send one on the inside. Still going to hang it around the outside of Luke. But Scyther's going far around the outside. He can't take it. T.S. Cordsman pinches Luke to the ground. And Scyther's back at it. Touch.
That was too close.
He's still trying to make the move, but he can't do it. T.S. Horseman with that penalty is going to hang on. But Scyther needs to make this move now if he wants to have a chance for Reese, who's in top 2 and on the medium tires. The worst tires than what Scyther's done. But he's looking around the outside now. He's got the chance, but T.S. Horseman covers it off. Now he's looking back at it. Oh, and Scyther almost slides into the bollards. It's getting really hairy for 4th place right now in this race.
Wow. This is just getting wild, to say the least. Now, T.S. Korsman and Scyther both on the same laps for tires, except Korsman is on the medium compound compared to Scyther's sauce. And what was really nuts was that Scyther engaged the overtake. He was in overtake all the way through Puhan to try to get the attack done. Red Fire, by the way, just behind them. They clears Luke to get himself in there. Scyther down the inside. Bash and bonk and boom, bang, boom. Oh my God! Bam, thank you, ma'am. Scyther trying to muscle his way past T.S. Korsman is just literally, it's literally a shoving match between these two. And Scyther comes out victorious, is up into 4th place. Oh my God!
Luke and Bourbon Boy also trade spots. Luke is actually really vulnerable, still sitting on these hard tires falling down the order. You gotta think with the Chiller only being 1.5 back from Reese, that Scyther needs to really gain his time now, and we're about to be 3 wide. Here's Scyther, here's Red Fire, here's T.S. Korsman. The bump drafting down the Kettle Straight.
Yes, Scyther winds up losing it. Gets almost lost it against there. Looks like we got a spin.
Sicario.
That's Sicario around in Les Combs. But Scyther does get back into 5th place. But unfortunately, now he's got T.S. Korsman to hunt down. Now, the thing is that T.S. Korsman, remember, T.S. Korsman does have that 3-second penalty So Scyther will regain that 4th place back, but unfortunately, he's gonna fall. He's gonna only go to 4th if he cannot get within 3 seconds of his teammate, because his teammate is currently 2.8 seconds ahead.
Yeah, TS Horseman has a lot of pace, but this battling is costing Scyther a ton. He knows he has to get the most out of these soft tires, and if he wants to have a chance at either the Chiller, TS Horseman, let alone Reese, who he's battling for in the championship to regain points, he needs to get past, as we have continuously said. But the lucky thing for Scyther is that he's got red fire out of DRS, and he now has a chance to get TS Horseman for 4th place. I think that's why you saw a lot of the Archie Bargy and Shades of Opmir and Ronhard at that final 2 corners there at the bus stop between Scyther and TS Horseman. He knows he has to get by quick enough, as the 2 Red Bulls who are 1-2 right now. They've had 3 previous 1-2s. They're looking for another one today, as they're within DRS here on the Camel Straight coming up.
Very, very, very true indeed, as Reese is right there with him. So Reese, I'm thinking the Red Bulls are going to switch positions.
They are.
Yes, they are, as Reese will take the lead from Cryptic. I believe Cryptic
4th
knows, and they're
place.
like, wait, I need to have Reese go through as Scyther gets clear. Korsman up in the 4th, so Reese is looking to even looking to extend his championship lead even further right now. So currently at this moment right now, let me just take a look at the live standings. So Reese is going to gain. Looks like there's going to be a switch for second between Scyther and the Chiller, but Reese is going to gain 10 points on Scyther. So that means going into the next race, currently before any penalties come into effect, Scyther is going to be 69 points behind Reese. Giggity.
Well, I will say this. When it comes to Scyther and Chiller, Scyther's there now, and he's trying to make the most out of these soft tires. You can see Cryptic is now out of DRS from Reese. So this truly could be a battle between Scyther and Reese at the end of this race. Obviously, Scyther now going to be 5 laps softs. This is coming to the ending point of those ideal laps on the soft tires, so he has to get by the Chiller to have a shot at Cryptic, and then follows toward Reese. Here goes Scyther once again. Inside line, outside line. The Chiller obviously uses a smart tactic, lets him go, and almost runs into TS Horseman right there. By the way, the previous lap on the Camel Straight, TS Horseman defended the inside line, and Scyther kept him on the inside line, showed him the inside line, and said, "Hey, you've got a penalty. I'm trying to go for the win here, bud." He did not show any mercy when it came to pinching
Looks
him.
like the Chiller is gonna has the DRS, has overtake open. I think what the Chiller's gonna have to do, he's gonna have to try to keep Korsman back, but Korsman, ooh boy, almost looked like he was almost got Scyther, but Korsman is up in the 4th, so the Chiller tried his best, but just couldn't get it locked down. Korsman is up into 4th place now. Currently, I mean, with the penalties that Korsman currently has, looks like he's gonna fall to 5th, because Ads is gonna get promoted up to 4th.
True.
I think Bourbon might get it just barely. I'll have to look at the gap here.
So who was that? That was Ads off the road.
So Bourbon is just out of it. So Korsman's gonna fall to 4th. Is gonna fall to 5th. Ads will go up to 4th.
Yeah, Ads, speaking of Ads, he ran off the road there, coming out of Puan. So, obviously, a little bit of time lost there. Redfire and Luke had a little bit of a battle for 8th place just a moment ago. But TS Horseman, he is not going to let this fight go away. And that is Weisso out of the session. And that's now a virtual safety car.
Now, Weisso has crashed right at the end of the marker for Sector 2. So he is out. Not sure what happened. We just caught it there. So it's a VSC right now. And, well, lo and behold, look how close Scyther is to Cryptic right now.
Yeah.
He has gained quite a bit of distance on Cryptic right now. So maybe Scyther could look to possibly try to get close enough to maybe get close for a challenge to go for 2nd place.
Well,
just depends on when the VSC is going to end, so they can stay in that delta. That's a big question here.
He has to hold them off, and Scyther's probably happy that the VSC came out at a time where the person couldn't get DRS down that camel straight right there. But I just wonder if the saw tire is wearing, it might be good enough for just a second, but if he can find some pace, as Scyther usually tends to do, look at how much he got pulled by. He still can catch Reese here, but he has to have everything go right. And Cryptic has to defend for Reese. That's exactly where the team games come in at Red Bull. Red Bull won 2 finishes last week, before that in Britain as well, and at the opening round of the season, they're looking for 3 in a row and their 4th of the season as the VSC is about to end. We've got some drive-thrus. We've got
Owen's got one.
Grandpa, Owen. That's
Ads
drivers.
2.
Yes, 3
Ads
drivers.
has one as well.
3
So that's
drivers.
not good.
Wow.
Well, Ads' chance for a P4 is now done.
Yeah. Now it becomes Borbin's chance at P4, which could be really good because he's right behind Ads, who's going to have to serve that. And Borbin could DRS with it as well, as Akari is off again. But Scyther is just right off of DRS of Cryptic, who is 2 seconds off our race leader with about 3 laps remaining. And TS Korsman is just barely in the DRS of Scyther. So this still could be a battle for P3 on track, P2 on the road as well. This could be tons of fun as well, as P6 on back, you see a big DRS train as well follows suit as Grandpa has to serve that drive
just
this
went
time.
in
And now
to serve
Scyther.
his drive-through.
Yes.
I think if my memory's right, they had to serve it within 3 laps, so
Correct.
they got literally till the literally I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they don't come in and they cross the line while they start the drive-through, I'm not sure if they're going to get disqualified from the session, or they're going to get 30-second penalties for failing to serve it.
Corbin goes by Ads. Redfire also goes by Luke in the process, as Zakaria is out in the pit lane, while Scyther is now 0.6 off of Cryptic, 3.1 off the lead. So the lead very unlikely, but second place on the cards to limit the damage he's had today. I have to say, I know I would have gave it to T.S. Korsman after his performance today so far, but I kind of have to give it to Scyther if he does come back and finish second here today. You know, limiting the bad days.
I completely agree with you.
Here in the top 2, that is exactly all you can ask for. And now he is closing that charge on Cryptic for second place to try to demolish the Red Bull 1-2 for the 3rd time in a row. I pull around.
Scyther hauling tail to try to reel Cryptic in to get himself into that position. Let's take a look at the ERS counter here. Cryptic 17%. Scyther has basically double that. Korsman has about the same ERS as Cryptic. So DRS now comes into play. Cryptic engages his overtake on the exit of the corner, but Scyther's still on him. So I'm gonna safely say there's gonna be a challenge down the Kemmel Straight as these guys head up the hill for Rouge and Radillon for the second to last time.
Watch out for TS Korsman.
Here we go as they come around. Here goes Scyther. Let's see what he's got as he comes down. Overtake wide. DRS wide open. Is he going to go for the overtake? There he goes down the inside as they head into the corner. And Scyther up into second place. TS Korsman thinking about trying to follow suit, but not close enough to warrant a shot against Cryptic. But Cryptic now down into 3rd place. Scyther now I mean, I don't know. Could he really gain over 2.5 seconds on Reese, though?
The answer for me, no. But
yeah,
Reese,
unless Reese spins out,
right,
that's the only chance Scyther's got.
I just checked the warnings from Reese Titan, and Reese only has 1 warning. So he can get another warning here by pushing, but he can only get 1. Because if he gets more than 1, he's within that penalty box. And Scyther is actually charging that gap down now. He's got the clean race 2.2. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but if he continues to put pressure on Reese to where it charges his gap down, he could get him at risk for a penalty if Reese does not push these last couple laps, and that's Grandpa out of the race. The first race in the last 2 races that have had more than 3 DNFs, it comes to Spa. 3rd place is still in the charge on track. TS Korsman within DRS and within 2/10. He is not close enough as we now reach the final lap. Reese is trying to win his 3rd race of the season and get him level on wins with Scyther. This would also be Reese's 10th podium of the season. Think about that. 10 podiums in 12 races for Reese. The consistency from this guy, I am absolutely impressed. He has done amazing so far this season, but he's got to keep it on the road for 16 more corners.
It is very impressive
Whoa!
to see Reese getting that many as Korsman looking for an eye as he's going down the inside against Cryptic to get himself, well, net P3, but he's going to have to gain 3 seconds on Cryptic to keep that P3. Meanwhile, Bourbon overtook the Chiller for 5th, and Luke overtook Red Fire for 7th. So Kemmel Straight gets 3 fights in literally a few positions here. So Korsman up through there, Scyther, 1.8 seconds. So, I mean, literally, Scyther probably would have hoped for maybe another lap or 2, and he could have caught Reese. But Reese, I mean, no doubt, he is looking on deck for another win. Now, you mentioned it, 10 podiums over the course of the season. Set his 3rd win in this season. Overall, Reese, once he crosses the line and gets this win, it will be his 8th win in Tier 1, and that will put him 1 behind the 6th winningest driver in the division of TB, who has 9. But here he comes as he heads down into the bus stop chicane for the final time. Played it cool, worked with his teammate, gets it done right at the end with the safety car. Reese is going to win in Belgium. Great work for him. Seidler rallies back to get himself in a 2nd. Cryptic will take 3rd from Korsman, who finishes in 4th.
Minions at the line on Red Fire.
Woo!
That got tight and that got close. They battled it out in the final couple of corners, but it was Minions getting P9 over Red Fire, Tiger, and Cryptic. Takes the last podium spot over TS Korsman, and he does hang on over Bourbon, which is exactly what I was about to put in about. He was desperate to get that 3 seconds over Bourbon and make sure he was ahead. I don't know if Scyther was hoping for many more laps because of tire wear, but I definitely think he was hoping more so for more laps earlier. They would have got ahead of the cars he was behind.
Korsman just said he got robbed by the safety car.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame him. Goggy, he wrecked what, 3 times? How many times do you? I get there's the rule you can't retire without a very good reason, but how many times, when you have a bad setup or a wreck and lose car, how many times does it take to wreck out of the race? In my opinion, he crashed 3 or 4 different times. I know you want to try to help yourself to steal the fastest lap or do whatever you can, but if you know you're gonna wreck and you are just having issues with your car and your setup, you could honestly, I know it's a loophole, but you could use the excuse that you put on the wrong setup and you could retire from the pit lane. That's how the rules can be with the loophole with retiring in the pit lane. That is exactly the difference in what either helped Scyther or didn't help Scyther, or what helped Reese and what didn't. And same with T.S. Korsman, who just came short of the podium from McLaren. But there's your podium celebration with Reese winning in Belgium. Starting the second half off pretty well, the Red Bull driver does, to make the gap in the championship between him and Scyther now a total of 65 points. Here are your final results now on the grid. 1, 2, 3. Well, they started 2, 1, 3.
Yeah, so there it is. Reese claims victory in Belgium. Scyther 2nd, Cryptic 3rd. Korsman had to settle for 4th with that penalty. Bourbon finishes 5th. The Chiller 6th. Boss Cookie 7th. Luke gets himself in 8th. Minions claiming 9th. Red Fire Tiger in 10th. That's the last of the points. And then the rest, Beatnik 11, TB 12, Ads 13, Shanghai 14, Tadpole 15, and the DNS, Owen, Blue Goggy, and others.
Yeah, exactly. Owen as well in the last lap. We didn't cover that, but he DNF'd there at the end. AlphaTauri keep their consecutive point streak alive. 6 consecutive points finishes. The Chiller as well. He's the only driver to finish every race. He does not keep the point streak alive, obviously, because of previous weeks in Britain, but he keeps that finishing streak alive. The last time he didn't finish, you have to go all the way back 22 races ago now. That is exactly how long it's been for the Chiller. So, and Mercedes and Red Bull as well, by the way. continue that consecutive point streak that they've had for a serious long time. Mercedes having the upper edge on Red Bull with that. Titan, with Red Bull getting their 19th podium of the season, Ferrari getting their 10th, Reese getting his 10th, Scyther getting his 6th, and also, by the way, 13th different driver to get a podium with Cryptic this season. Who would you give your driver of the day shout out to from this race? There's some good shout outs with TS Korsman. I know he had the penalty, got screwed by the safety car. Red Fire kind of come up to the field. I know it wasn't great, but he put on a lot of showing. Bosco, he late in the race as well, came from outside the points to finish inside the points for AlphaTauri. Reese, Cryptic, Scyther, obvious reasons for those top 3 to have a chance at driver of the day. There was a lot of action throughout today, nonetheless, regardless of DNFs and incidents. Who would you give it to?
I mean, you did bring up quite a bunch of points. I mean, literally, Korsman was putting on a really good show. He was fighting for the lead. He even led a few laps of the race. He was doing pretty good. The safety car kind of messed him up. The penalty also kind of screwed him up too. He did pretty good there. Scyther, I mean, battling against Korsman, got onto that grass, spun out in turn 1, fell to 9th, recovered, got himself in the 2nd. I mean, like I said, that the spin was his mistake, but he learned from that mistake and recovered for that 2nd. I mean, as much as I like to give credit to Scyther for that recovery drive, but given the fact that that what happened was a bit of a mistake, I'm probably gonna safely say I'm actually going to give driver of the day. I'm actually going to give it to Reese, actually.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because by the end of lap 1, he was all the way down in 7th after being messed about by the hard compound tire. But he kept it cool. He didn't crack under the pressure. He navigated his way through the field. Even with the safety car, he got himself back in the position where he wanted to go. And he managed to get that lead back and extend his championship lead even further. So basically, in the words of basically not cracking under the pressure and maintaining his composure, that's why I've decided I'm giving it to Reese.
Yeah, I originally said Scyther, but I have to agree with you right there. You bring up a good point, which I completely forgot about. He was down 6th place there, and just at the he was the penultimate car in that DRS train at the opening stages of the race. Was he helped by a safety car? Sure, fine. But you know what? It takes a lot, in my honest opinion, to well, he was helped by the safety car because he also stayed out. He was 4th net P4, I guess you could say, or P4 when it kind of cycled out in the way it did. But, to kind of keep your composure in a race where you look to struggle, you were down on the pace compared to Scyther. No mistakes, no issues, just coming through the best you can. I agree. The Scyther comeback is probably second best for me, in all honesty. You have to give a shout out to Cryptic, too, being our 13th different podium sitter of the season. Not driver of the day worthy, but definitely a lot of confidence in his name as well now at Red Bull, and could definitely help out his teammate here and help extend the championship constructor area, I'll call it, because 93 points, that gap. If Red Bull needed a second driver who could help out on a basis, you see Cryptic has had, before coming into today, 3 P4s and a P6. So, that consistency helps a team like Red Bull. They needed that, and it helps Reese as well, which definitely did help when it came to the Drivers' Championship as well. If you thought today Scyther was going to gain points on Reese, he didn't, and we were both wrong. So to think of that, I'm impressed that Reese actually was able to pull that off. In all honesty, thinking back on it now, fair point you brought up, by the way, which to me, in all honesty, that's tough sometimes in a championship position. You might crumble under the pressure. You might say, hey, Scyther's faster than me, and what am I going to do? You might do something stupid and try to drive the last 2 laps of your race, which was where Scyther finally got to second, drive it ridiculously over-aggressive, and he didn't do that. He did what he had to. Reese did. So ever since Monaco, he's been on this been on the streak of winning races finally. It's his third win. Obviously the podium streak. He's Mr. Consistent. I think the last time he finished outside the podium has to go quite a few ways back, but even then, he only has that one finish out of the podium. And you could say the same with Scyther now too, but Scyther's missed a lot more races than Reese has, so that's exactly what does the difference. It's different if you had a Red Bull driver who was inconsistent, but you have a Red Bull driver this season with Reese who's ended up finding that form, and we'll just have to see next week for Tier 1 and Zandvoort if that form can be, I guess, even better in a sense to where he's getting a pole position again, a race win again, or if that form comes undone.
I'm gonna cut you off for just a second. We just got a notification in the contract chat. Under a mutual agreement, Zakaria is being moved from Aston Martin to Williams for the remainder of the season. So I guess what happened in Belgium, it didn't go the way he hoped. So
yeah.
So Zakaria falls to Williams. So that, currently for the Mercedes Academy group, it still leaves 2 positions open because now there's 1 Aston and 1 Williams open. And for other spots, there's a second Haas that's still open in Tier 1, and for Red Bull, they have a second AlphaTauri open.
Zakaria, let me just add on to him. I really appreciate Zakaria. He's been very welcoming to me coming to RPL and stuff like that for myself. But I have to lay out the fact here of why this might have happened. He's not scored points with whatever team he's raced for since Monaco, and that was when he was an Alpine. And obviously he made the switch to Aston Martin, back to Williams now. Yeah, for me, I could see why a team owner like Beatnik would justify, in a way, the performances of moving him down to Williams. But yeah, now we have to find out what he can do in the coming races. It's his home race next week, Zakaria, I believe. He lives in the Netherlands, right? So it's Zandvoort next week for Tier 1 and Tier 2, and F2 is at Spain. Excuse me.
So next week's race is Tier 2. Their second round is in Spain. F2, they're racing around Zandvoort for the round 2.
Sorry, I got
and that's
that wrong.
also where F1 is going to be for round 13.
Yep. Apologies for getting that wrong. My bad. I switched it up. Tier 2 and F2.
No,
I'm like,
fine.
what?
I'd probably get it mixed up too.
Yeah, I don't have it right in front of me like I always do, but I'll have to do that. Just a final comment on the race. The DNF rate was a little hairy. The incident's a little bit ridiculous. I feel like it happens every time at Belgium, but if we can have the same thing we had in the last 3 rounds at Zandvoort, and I think we're shaping up to be just fine. Tier 1 is the cleanest tier anyway, so I'm not too worried in a not sorting thought of my mind, I guess, in a way. I'm not a steward, but I have that steward kind of thought of oh boy, with what they have to deal with tonight and so on with incidents. Either way, yeah, like you said, next week it's F2 and F1 at Zandvoort, and Tier 2 is at Spain, so that should be very interesting to see what can happen. F1 as well is tomorrow at Singapore, so we'll watch in our couches or wherever we watch, and have it in the back of our mind that Singapore is in 2 weeks for RPL as well, with the new section in Sector 3, because we will be watching closely on what kind of notes we want to take for that race, with Singapore being the first race of October coming up on round 15.
Completely agree for that there. So that is going to conclude the stream for today. Thank you all for being part and watching this unique and very fun race. It was a good race to watch on our end on the commentary box. So from RPL Streams, Ty and Ironwolf with Ryan Alcon, we say good night. Have a great one.